So I start with a cube, and then the brush that I use the most is probably the cube itself, or like a cylinder. You can give it chamfers, you can give it you can make it rounder. Yeah, you can change the dimensions, and then you can essentially block it out with that. Initially, I lay out a very simple block out. You see I have a drawing, like a sketch that I did. One of the images is a photo from a sketchbook. And I'm just trying to encapsulate the vibe of the sketch, but not necessarily copying it like one by one, because the sketch is very loose, and it's definitely not going to be like, I'm not going to be attached to it very much. It's just the overall vibe, and then I'm borrowing elements or ideas from all these other images. Like, they're not around because I'm copying them. It's more like to set the mood and be used as reference for smaller things, or like the shape language of some of the pieces, I guess. Yeah, essentially in the virtual space, it's recording like a camera, a POV of a camera, and I am moving around the object. These images, they are around my head. So you're not seeing me because I'm invisible, like I don't exist there. You just see my hands in the shape of the controller. But yeah, and then you see these hovering images around it. I don't know if there's a way to remove them and or make them like see-through or something like that on the recording. There might be, I just couldn't find the option yet. So as of now, like everything the camera sees, including my virtual hands and the references, is recorded in the image. So if anybody knows a way to deactivate this or to work around it, please let me know. Otherwise, just well, it's unfortunate, but I think we can bear with it for the sake of it. I am curious though, because I know that my teacher, my old teacher from school, Andre, he does a lot of videos like this of the process, and I don't remember seeing like the references around on his videos. Maybe he's just clever with the camera positioning, or maybe he just doesn't use the references, or I don't know. Anyways, what I'm doing right now is sculpting the face. I'm still not using this software a lot to clay sculpt, like in ZBrush or like a 3D coat, you know, like layering, like a build-up or clay brush or something like that. But it can be done. Like I did a little bit of it on the face. You can see for the eye sockets and for the head, but most of the work is done with like stamps, essentially. Like you carve in and out blocks or shapes of either primitives or kit bash pieces from kits that you either got or that you made yourself. Like, so every once in a while I make a piece that I think can be useful for something else. I go and save it in a library, and I just reuse that piece either in the same project, like a lot on the same project, also to convey this repetition of shapes and have a cohesive language all around, but also across projects. So like if you do a joint, there's no need, you need to redo that joint every time that you do a new robot, you know, unless that new robot has a reason to have a different joint or whatever. At least not in the initial stages, or like in a sketch just like this. It's just like an idea that I sketched in VR, so I'm not really attached with having a very unique like designed ball joint, you know. So I'm just grabbing a ball joint that I already made from another project, or that I downloaded on a kit, you know, or like the elbow. Parts of it will be sculpted in a block, but then if I need some higher detail, I'll use some other piece that I made for another robot back then, you know, and you can then go back and then change that piece a little bit if you want. So it's essentially like it's almost like building Legos, but not really, because you can kind of like change the Legos as you you put them. So yeah, it's really fun. It's a really fun process. So you see me laying out a very rough shape at first, like mostly with these two basic brushes, the cylinder and the cube. And then after I have the very basic block out, I start isolating parts out. I copy the part, like create a new shape, or maybe sometimes I just go and carve the block itself, and I polish it out, and then I go back and then I replace the part on the block out by the new polished piece. So essentially, this is just a process that keeps happening. You just refine it slowly, piece by piece, and you get to see me toggle on and off symmetry, and sometimes the pieces will vanish and then they will be brought forward or like above the character and then be placed back. So right now you see me designing like the disc slot for the monitor TV thingy and the buttons. So I wanted it to feel very much like a retro, like CRT, just for like nostalgia factors. And yeah, just I don't know, like a mix between like a computer monitor, like a classic computer monitor, and a CRT, but also with this like retro futuristic look, as if like the technologies of old and more like mechanical in nature have been like adapted or ported into this new retro futuristic, somewhat sarcastic design language. It's not somewhat, like a lot, it's pretty much like a joke piece. It's not really a serious like a military robot or anything like that. So yeah, it was quite fun, like to do the CRT monitor. And now I'm doing the hands, like I said before, like I isolated, and then I carefully sculpt each piece, use some like instancing for the fingers so it speeds up the process, so like everything can change in one of the fingers happens on all of them, and then after I'm done I just bring it back to where it was and then just array it to the other side, and there you go. So essentially at this point it's like a late intermediate process, or stage I should say. Just basically refining the details and the smaller shapes within the bigger shapes. So you see me adding cuts, removing little pieces, like polishing up, like just fleshing out some unnecessary bits, some unnecessary pieces and details, and then reworking some of the blocks that I laid out before. And then I decided to change the color. Before it was gonna be, I think his name is Gibbsy or something, like the green guy. and then I changed it to Tinky Winky because I realized that Green Guy doesn't really have a triangle at the top of his head. He had like a spike, and I really wanted to play with the triangle, so I then flipped the triangle around, and that's what Tinky Winky has, upside down triangle, so that works. Here I'm polishing the face. You can't see much because it's a small detail. I'd have to zoom in, but essentially adding little pieces and little slits and just fine tuning and all that. Now I'm cleaning the screen. A lot of smoothing around, but even though I'm doing a lot of like refining, like the final result of this workflow, it's not intended to be something super clean, like a CAD modeling, you know, or like even like poly modeling Blender or ZBrush or whatever. It's a voxel in nature, so sort of like a 3D coat, but the intention is for it to be very drafty and sketchy. Essentially, it's like a 3-dimensional sketch, and that by the fact that it's 3D, it allows me to just move it around and render it in whatever pose, etc., and convey a wider range of ideas with a single piece, I guess. The advantage of this process over some, let's say, more like polished key art, like 2D key art or something like that, is that I can give this to the 3D artist. You know, like I can just export this file, and then the artist can work from it. You know, it's gonna be super high poly and like messy and insane, but it's a huge quick start. You know, like it's like essentially a very advanced block out from where they can start deriving like a bunch of stuff. You know, they can extrapolate from it and then build new details on it, and then actually make it functional as opposed to just functional looking. But yeah, like this is about it. Like I spoke way more than what the video lasted, I guess. This gonna also be like a shorter version, I think. This one might be a little too long, but I imagine most people are just not gonna watch this. Yeah, that's it, guys. Bye bye.